This month I spent $12,000. Definitely a heavy month. Let's see if I was able to hit all the investment goals. All right. So, lots changed. I had a good month, I guess, when it comes down to, my portfolio. It wasn't at this level yesterday. It's now currently July 1st, and I have officially passed a $100,000 portfolio um, in this brokerage account, which I'm extremely happy about. Obviously, that's always a huge milestone to hit. So, yeah, happy with that. If we look really at where the portfolio stands right now, the main buckets have stayed the same. We're looking at FXAIX, SCHD, DGRO, and SCHG as sort of my growth vehicle. To date, the portfolio gain is 19.33%. Portfolio gain of $16,000. And then SPAXX cash, SPAXX year-to-date interest, portfolio. No changes in the holdings this month, just was able to invest in the positions that are in my portfolio. When we look at 401k balances, Roth IRA, Acorns, all of that fun stuff, total investments equals $361,000. My cash position is at $214,000 for a grand total of $575,000. I will be adding this in now moving forward. This is my Robinhood account. Virtually, it's going to be sort of my use it or lose it, kind of risk it to get the biscuit, whatever you want to call it. I'm hoping to outperform, obviously, the market. Choosing specific individual stocks. I'm not including this in my total investments or my total cash. If this went to zero, totally fine. But ideally, it grows. I'm going to try to be pretty aggressive with it, so I'm going to start to track all of this in a separate video, but we'll keep tabs on this right here. So, yeah. When we look at my monthly IEI, I did have a very expensive month, $12,000. Overall, though, I was able to invest some of that cash that I leave on the side to maintain sort of my goal of investing a significant chunk of my money, greater than 25% of my income every month. And so when we look at where this sort of breakdown was, main thing is obviously this miscellaneous category, $8,000. And so one of the things going on this year, I'm getting married next year, so we have bills due. So obviously it's not all rainbows and sunshine every month, where I can necessarily keep my expenses to a couple $1,000, $2,000 to $3,000. That's always my goal, but you know what? Life happens, and sometimes you have to be prepared for when you're going to have nearly the same level of expenses as you had income, or hopefully not more. That's kind of my end goal. I always want this balance to stay green. And so I was able to keep that green this month. Mainly all personal expenses. Work expenses were low this month. And so, yeah, it was a expensive month. I understood that was going to happen. It's tough when you see this $8,000 category, but try to stay true to what I'm doing. And yeah, when we look at the monthly investment plan, this is obviously my end goal every month is to invest $3,333 into this brokerage account. And this is exactly how I've decided to break it down. And so if the Bitcoin ETF is down, I'll invest a little bit more. Flex can be more of an individual opportunistic section, which I invested a little bit more than this, but figured I'd leave it out. And then my individual stock, I'm choosing really between MasterCard and Microsoft for now. May change that up a little bit depending on when certain companies are in sort of a dip. If I feel like there's a good buying opportunity with what I'm currently holding. But ideally, keeping those positions around 5%. Don't want them becoming overweight. I really do want my main brokerage account to be the core positions, the S&P 500, SCHD, SCHG, and DGRO. But overall, didn't invest as much into DGRO. It was a heavier month into SCHG. And part of the reasoning behind that is actually a change that I made to my portfolio holdings page. And so when we look at this, I added this section over here to the right. And virtually what this is showing is current price versus compared to their 52-week highs. And when these are greater than 5% off of their highs, these actually will turn green for my main positions, DGRO, SCHD, FXAIX, and SCHG. And so when those are greater than 5%, I want to invest a little bit heavier, kind of considering those in a dip. I'm still planning to hit my monthly investment targets. Obviously didn't hit DGRO this month, but you know, when there's an opportunity, SCHG was off of its high by 7-8%. And so figured why not just invest a little bit more into that while it's on this sort of dip. It's already gone up. My growth was down to about 5-6%. Now it's up to 9%. And so I wanted to take advantage of that. And this will just kind of give me an easy sort of test to see where things stand when they jump off a 52-week high. If they're 5% or below, I'll kind of have an eye-catching graphic over here to kind of catch my eye. Especially, this is sort of what I see when I'm naturally looking at the page, so I can get a good glimpse of that percent off 52-week high. It'll change color, like I said, to green so that it's more eye-catching when it's greater than 5% off the high. And so overall, my SCHD position is coming close to the 25,000 mark, which is pretty cool. It is my largest position, just through some obviously natural growth in that position, and I built it up a lot last year while it was kind of in a lull. MasterCard, I invested a little bit more into it. Finally in the green again. I'm up 3.84%. It's been red virtually since I bought it, and just kind of kept dollar cost averaging down with that $333, the opportunistic bucket that I hold open to sort of just build that position. Same idea with Microsoft. I did add one. I bought one share when it was down at the 350 range. It's negative right now. We'll see if it kind of bounces around, gets back into the green. But these are long-term holdings, so I'm not planning necessarily to sell these in the next year or two, anything like that. I want to hold these for the long term. That's what this is kind of my goal with this account, to build it up, be a good bridge account for if I were to retire early, if I want this money for any sort of emergencies, or putting it towards a house or anything like that. I want this to grow with me over an extended period of time. Hims is having a beautiful day, huh? Damn. Didn't see that coming today, but not bad. And so, yeah, when we look at the annual goals update, overall this year, I am a little behind schedule on my investment goal of $40,000 in this brokerage dividend account by end of year. I'll just continue kind of plugging away, be opportunistic when the market dips, if it does dip, but then otherwise just keep to the script. Keep investing $3,333 every month. I did hit my goal, number 3, of hitting a $350,000 investment by end of year. I hit that on June 1st. And so this is sort of my subtle, hey, let's see if I can get it up to $400,000 before the end of the year. This was my goal. This is now my reach. Let's see if we can get an extra $40,000 in before the end of the year. Invest. I think if I just have these hit $25,000, I'll be happy. But yeah, 83% of the way there right now. This is actually how much I've invested into each position. But as I learn more about my time horizon and all that, it may not make as much sense to be investing so heavily into these while I'm getting taxed on their dividends. It may be more efficient to go into those growth vehicles like SCHG, even just FXAIX, to take advantage of all the growth without necessarily that drag on all my dividends. I do love dividends, though. Don't get me wrong. It is nice to see. So I want a healthy mix of both in this. It also kind of helps to, in the situation where if the market were to have a downturn, I still have the reliable aspect of events like SCHD where you have the dividend every quarter. So you don't necessarily have to sell out of it when you're in a loss or the market is down and this is down 15% off of a high, things like that. So yeah, I want to be a little versatile in this brokerage account. I also still obviously have my 401ks, my Roth IRA, Acorns, all of that. So want to have a nice healthy mix. But yeah, I did make one change. So obviously here's my average personal monthly expenses trailing 3 months. Yikes, it's high. I've been doing a really good job of keeping my expenses low. I had a vacation in April, and now the big one. It's kind of changed things up a little bit. So I'm hoping I will keep my average monthly expenses below what it was last year. Pretty cool. As a side note, this is actually my 1 year anniversary of making videos, I guess, for this account. I did my first video on the month of June last year. So it was right around this time. A lot's changed there, and I'll show you that in just a second on this investment graph page. But I did make a change. So this goal has shifted. It was 600,000. I am being more aggressive. I want to hit $1 million in investments by the end of 30 years old. So 600,000. I'm already at 350,000. I figured it was a little, not too easy, but I felt like I could get there pretty conservatively. So I want to be a little bit more aggressive and work towards a goal that, I don't just hit in 2 years. So my goal is to hit $1 million in this investment account. So that will be a little bit of a change over the next decade. Investment graph. So added a new investment graph to this dashboard. And then we'll go over the dividend calendar. Actually, we'll go dividend calendar first. So when we look at the dividend calendar, yeah, it was a good month overall. SCHG and Microsoft paid me $829. Obviously, the big one, SCHD, paid $189. Target slightly increased. Google, same thing, and DGRO increased as well. Overall, between my dividends and the SPAXX interest, I made $784 this month. So right now, my average dividends strictly, my average dividends per month is $55. So pretty happy with that overall. Excited to see how that changes. Again, I just started really paying attention to this last year in June. So when we look at the June dividend history, this is really when I started paying attention. And I had bought my first shares of SCHD. So obviously a lot's changed. I did put in a lot of money over those next few months. But yeah, before I hadn't really taken much care and thought in this dividend portfolio. But yeah, in this brokerage account in general, I didn't have a lot of cash in there. I wasn't making a lot of interest. I just had my money in a checking account making 0.004%, and making no money, letting my cash just kind of lose value over time. And yeah, so started paying attention, feel like I needed to make a little bit of a change, and you can see sort of already the start of this year, I mean, $662 in dividends. You look at last year, I guess total dividends 910. So halfway through the year, I'm on pace to break that, which I'm extremely excited about. But yeah, $185 last year. $189, already surpassed my largest dividend payout ever in 1 year. So that's just kind of the dividend snowball working. Obviously, I'm investing a lot of money into this at the same time, but really happy with that. Now for the investment graph. So technically at the end of June, I did pass 100,000 today. It would have been really nice to have that yesterday, but so be it. End of June, my dividend portfolio value was $99,427.75. $3,000 increase from the previous month, was closing in on that 100,000. Finally hit it though. Overall total investments yesterday it was $360,509. So up just under $7,000 for the month. Still appreciate this trend. And yeah, now it's been that full year since I started paying attention. So nearly 150,000, a little over $150,000 in difference in the previous year. Obviously, that comes down to me investing heavily into my 401k, Roth IRA, and this brokerage account. This has obviously been the major difference maker this year, going from an account value of $32,000 up to just about $100,000, and just steadily increasing my investments, making a habit of doing this and holding myself accountable. So yeah, really happy with where I'm at. Happy to have hit that $100,000 mark. I think it's a pretty big milestone. And I did add one new graph. So this is my quarterly dividend payments graph. I feel like it will be nice to track this and follow it over time. Obviously, as I spend more time doing this, doing more research, learning more about in certain investment strategies, and learn more about individual stocks, all of that, things have been fluctuating with what I've been holding in my portfolio. But here's how my quarterly dividends stack up. So I think I'm going to slowly start to see this ramp up year over year. And you can already see it starting to take place. Obviously, we look back at last year, my only got $9 in dividends. Again, I had about 30-ish thousand, probably $20,000 to $30,000 in my brokerage account to begin with. That was just sitting there. That I had invested a few things into it, and wasn't paying that close of attention to it. Quarter two, same sort of idea, had just started to right at the end of June, or beginning of June. So all of a sudden you see that increase to $71. Now it's starting to really take effect in Q3 and Q4. And now comparing Q1 of this year to last year, just night and day difference. So just really excited to see that. Again, it's fun to look back on this stuff more high level, to keep you inspired to continue to invest, but also make sure that you're holding yourself accountable, and that you're staying on track. Yeah, overall Q2 payment larger. So now the real fun begins when we start to look at Q3 and Q4, when I was paying attention, seeing how those change over time, year over year, just to make sure everything's staying true to form. Quarterly add up. This is just sort of how I am able to add it up really quickly. Just virtually add in the dividends per month, and that's it. And then boom, add it in. So last year, obviously, total dividends I made was $910. So far, through halfway through 2026, I'm at $662. So again, we'll track this year over year. This is more of like a little bit zoomed in, looking at quarterly. I think it just gets a little too crazy when I'm looking at it month over month, because there's so much fluctuation. Obviously, quarterly schedules, I feel like, is more of like an easier bucket to track and feels more whole. And so that's what I'm going to be paying attention to now moving forward. Again, that's really it. Would love to know what you guys think, what you think of the monthly investing plan, what you guys think Bitcoin's going to do over the next few months. And yeah, the strategy behind SCHG, SCHD, FXAIX, and DGRO, what you think of that strategy with 5% off the highs, all of that. Curious to hear what you think. Please leave a comment, subscribe if you want to see more, if you want to see where this portfolio can go over the next year. Really appreciate it if you made it this far. Thanks. Yeah, talk to you guys soon. See you.